Russ, it is time to talk about Criterion's January releases. One release in particular. One that as soon as I saw it, I texted you immediately. And there's no pre-order yet, but
is it the Western with Mary J. Blige?
It is not the Western with Mary J. Blige. Trainspotting in 4K, coming out January 30th.
Let me get my drugs.
Let's get ready. I'm cooking up. First, Russ, we have been talking about our viewer mailbag for quite some time, giving everybody our email just to see what have you picked up lately, a video, a picture, your collection, a release, whatever it might be. 4kKingsYT@gmail.com, baby. You know it's a good Gmail account when YT is at the end of it. A good friend of the show, Jordan, who sent in an 11-minute video, some of his favorite 4Ks that he had gotten in the past maybe month or so.
My name is Jordan. I live in Eastern Canada, and I'm a big fan of 4K Kings. Thanks for all you do for the community, and I really appreciate you guys' character and your love for film. I saw in a recent video of yours that you guys are looking for some fan content, and considering I'm a fan, I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of content for all you've done for us. Of course, any collection, new or old, wouldn't be complete without Top Gun Maverick. Thank you.
Jordan, thank you so much for that. We won't be airing your entire 11-minute video. We'll link it so that you guys can all check it out.
That's nice.
Criterion pretty much just made my dreams come true. I don't know if there's any Trainspotting fans out there. We're going to talk about just this release and maybe the movie for a little bit, but this will absolutely get a review to just talk about the release itself, to talk about my undying love for this film and Russ's as well. And we'll touch on it a little bit, and I'm sure maybe there'll be some people out there that also love this film. I'd love to hear some people from the UK, what your opinions are about this movie and its impact over there. It had a huge impact on me. It's in my top 5 of all time, so I could not be more excited. Criterion put Trainspotting out on Laserdisc prior. It's right behind me.
And someone left a comment on one of our videos recently asking what that was.
It's right behind me. I can't reach it. But it's back there. It's a pretty cool cover. It's not the same cover that you're getting for this release here, but just taking a look at what they've got here before we dive into the movie a little bit, I think Criterion, again, is knocking it out of the park for us.
I love this movie as much as you do, man.
Can we get some thumbs up in the chat for people who love Trainspotting? Can we get some hearts? Can we get some hypodermic needles? I don't know what the emojis are that you've got.
I think the dead baby emoji is pretty popular now.
Is that on there? Oh, I can't. We're going to talk about that, Javier. It's coming, baby. Yeah, it's coming for sure. Javier, you got it right. The soundtrack is awesome. So this is coming with a new 4K restoration, Dolby Vision HDR, supervised by director Danny Boyle. You're getting a 2.0 surround master audio and an alternate 5.1 surround audio. And I want to talk about the audio in a little bit more detail in a second. But there's also an audio commentary with Boyle, producer Andrew McDonald, and McGregor's on there. 9 deleted scenes with commentary, a making of Trainspotting documentary, which contains interviews and behind the scenes, a 2008 documentary, Remembering Trainspotting, with McGregor, Kelly McDonald, Ewan Bremner, Robert Carlyle. And then you've got reflections from the soundtrack with Iggy Pop, Damon Albarn, Underworld, Left Field, and hopefully a lot more than that as well. And then you're also going to get a glossary of terms and a glow-in-the-dark digipack, which sounds really wild to me. I can't wait to see what that means.
How often does Criterion do something like that?
I don't know, and I'm trying to think of what the significance of that is, like glow-in-the-dark for this movie, but it's not the original poster, but it's actually a poster I had as a kid. It's like a landscape poster with all the characters lined up. They all have their numbers and their names. I will say on this cover art, they're making different poses than they were on the poster that I had, but then you got Trainspotting. I think the art looks pretty cool. But new to this release are the documentaries and the soundtrack retrospective.
The soundtrack retrospective is pretty cool. I wasn't aware that was going on this.
Although the Laserdisc had an interview with Irvin Welsh, which does not appear to be listed here. It does say "and more," so I don't know if that's going to be something more that we'll end up getting. I'm obviously excited for the restoration to see what that looks like. All the features sound fantastic. I've never seen any of these documentaries if they existed prior, if this was a Criterion exclusive thing. I'd love to see anything to do with, like an extensive look at the making of. I think that would be really cool to watch, especially the soundtrack retrospective. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, and I think they were really wise to include something like that on here. I think they know what's going on with their soundtrack.
And it was a much bigger soundtrack in the UK and in Europe, from what I understand, than it was here. I think over here, it was more of a niche thing where people like you and I loved it. I had plenty of friends at the time, and we were 14 when this hit. Nobody had the soundtrack besides me. Like nobody and you, but I didn't know you yet.
I listened to this soundtrack on like repeat at times, and I could say the same thing for Pulp Fiction too. Like there was just that like marriage of music and film that just was such a connection that you could listen to the soundtrack and just take yourself right to those scenes in that
And
movie.
the novel references a lot of music.
True.
I mean, some music that's not in the movie, some of it is.
Did you get the number 2 Green soundtrack?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to that one as heavy, though. But I was excited when it came out because it had the song from the movie when he's withdrawing.
I don't feel the sickness yet, but it's in the post, that's for sure.
Yes.
And that was the one when I had the original soundtrack as a kid. I was like, damn, I love that one. I didn't even know it was Underworld.
Yes.
I was just like, I want that one song that wasn't on it. God damn it.
There was a lot of hits from the movie that weren't there that you, like, you're right. Like, there was music inspired by on the second one, as well as tracks that didn't make
Like,
the first one, which I
well,
was so happy when they put it out.
Well, what's interesting, too, is even on the Inspired By, didn't they have Iggy Pop's The Passenger on it?
They did.
I don't remember that in Trainspotting
It wasn't.
at all.
It was inspired by.
And Inspired By, too, because one thing I love about the movie and the book, too, is that it is clearly riffing on the spirit of it is the Iggy Pop album Lust for Life,
Oh, yeah.
which Passenger's on that as well. If you've never heard that album, I'm talking to you because I know you love this shit. The whole album has that tone of Lust for Life. It's like real sarcastic, but like amped, like Lust
Yeah.
for Life. It's that spirit of Trainspotting. So
Yeah.
you should check that record out.
The one thing that I want to mention about the audio really quick, I owned this movie on VHS. That's how I watched it for the first time. Rented it at Blockbuster, rest in peace. Bought it on VHS, watched it repeatedly, knew every scene, knew every line. I could recite this movie word for word. My grandparents, they're originally from Scotland. A lot of my family is from there as well.
It's shite being Scottish!
So like that language was very familiar with me, the slang, the way that it sounds and rolls off the tongue. Then I got the DVD. And as soon as I put it on to watch, immediately things started like not sounding right. Scenes that I thought like a certain inflection was on a certain word, it was like, that sounded weird. Like I don't remember him saying it like that or something along those lines. And it turns out that they had almost redubbed or retaken a couple of the scenes to make it easier to understand for American audiences. Because there are solid chunks where if you have no experience with, England, Scotland, anything at all, not only are they speaking in nothing but slang words, it's like impossible probably to understand at first glance, which is why they give you that glossary, which I think is really cool. But that's the thing that was so jarring for me that I was like, this isn't what I remember. Like this isn't the way I remember it sounding. And what I'm hoping for here on this Criterion, and I don't know if this is what this is referring to or not, maybe it's just wishful thinking. They say here 2.0 master audio soundtrack and then an alternate 5.1 soundtrack. I don't know if it's a 2.0 and a 5.1, or it's literally two different tracks with the original audio and then maybe the Americanized one. That's all I've ever wanted back, and I've never even bought the Blu-ray as a result. I feel like it's something that probably only I noticed because as a kid, you watch these movies thousands of times. So like as soon as something small is off, you just know it, and I knew it right away.
No cunt leaves here till we find out what cunt did it.
My experience with Trainspotting, I was 14, similar, saw it on VHS. I had the book because I wanted to read the book. I already knew I wanted to see the movie. And when I watched it for the first time, I was like, it blew me away. But I thought to myself, I think I understood 50% of the dialogue.
Look, I'm not a fucking buffy and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And I immediately rewatched it on the same night. Still blew me away. And then I felt, that was rad. Now I understand 75% of the dialogue. I kept reading the book, and after referring to the glossary so many times, it started to become second nature to be like, oh, when it says I-K-E-N, that means I know.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely an experience, even for me when I watched it the first time, like with you, like even with that background, it's like they're talking so quick. The slang is so rich. It's like, it's hard to know, like, what does that word mean? Because someone will use that word like, and that word will be used throughout the whole movie. And once you know what that word means, it's like, oh, unlocked. Now I get that they're saying this, whatever thing.
Like once I learned it, I walked around and called everybody a DOS cunt for weeks.
This is the Laserdisc. Russ, this is your Laserdisc.
It is.
It is. It's awesome. Criterion Collection Laserdisc. The back looks cool. Does anyone out there own a Laserdisc player? Which way do you touch this thing? I don't want to. Oh, like it's a disc on both sides. How do you hold it
That
so
thing
people
was
can see it?
certified diamond.
All right, let me just hold it up like this. So here it is in the sleeve. We're going to start going to the library for our reviews. Do they still have Laserdiscs? I'm going to get that new Trainspotting microfiche. Benjamin Strausser has a Laserdisc. How many Laserdiscs do you own, Benjamin? Let us know. Okay, so the person who owns the player that we're all currently jealous of has Total Recall, Tremors, and Reanimator.
Reanimator Laserdisc. That's fly.
Benjamin, with the Laserdisc player, we're jealous.
Aye.
let's talk about the movie just for a second. I feel like this movie, for me, it means so much because kind of like Pulp Fiction, like I watched Trainspotting like very soon after I watched Pulp Fiction, where I was still very raw from that experience as a kid, and it like literally scratched almost the same itch. I was like, wow, how lucky did I just get? Again, like a movie and an experience that I just had never, I don't know, experienced before, and I'm really happy to see that it's coming out in such a definitive way, and I cannot wait to pick this up, and I cannot wait to really thoroughly dive in and give my true thoughts about this movie.
It's a shot of adrenaline.
It really is.
It's just pure energy from beginning to end. It doesn't have a conscience.
It's got hope and hopelessness simultaneously.
Yeah. And I, to this day, I think it's a ballsy novel and movie, because can you name me another film that depicts drug use in a way that is not giving you gloom and doom? Yes, there's one scene of withdrawal. This isn't an anti-drug movie. This is just like the novel. It's a celebration of scumbaggery, basically.
Yeah.
And being a piece of shit. If you've read that novel, to me, it seems unfilmable. I don't even know how you could make a movie out of that. And that's what impresses me so much with this movie, is like, not only did they streamline it, make it one narrative, because the novel isn't all Renton.
It's all point of view chapters.
Every chapter is a different point of view. And they managed to take things from each chapter and, as I said, streamline it into one narrative through Renton, but maintaining that anarchy, that chaotic feel, that energy, that dark humor, that all of it. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah, I concur. I was going to say the exact same thing. I read the book after I watched this movie because I just
was
wanted
like
more.
Immediately after.
Yeah, I just wanted more. I was like, soundtrack, buy it, book, buy it. Like,
same.
I need everything that's poster on the wall already. I needed it net then. And when I read that book, I was, again, so enthralled and entranced by it. And like you said, it's all these characters, you get to be in their head.
There's more characters.
There are characters they don't share, but it's interesting to be in Begbie's head for like a minute. Like, you get to see him on screen, you get to see he's like a maniac and he's like awesome, but you don't really get to hear what he's thinking about or why he's doing what he's doing. Same thing with Sick Boy. He's a very conniving, scheming kind of character, and just like with the follow-up book that is after this, Porno, he's in it. He's still this very conniving, scheming kind of person who comes across really well in the movie. But to hear their thoughts and why and why they feel like they're going to do this, and like you said, the scumbaggery, here's my plan of how I'm going to be that scumbag, is really kind of, it really draws you in a very different way. Yes. And I couldn't agree more. And I was done reading, I was like, wow, they really made a movie out of that son of a bitch. Like, that thing was intense.
The chemistry, the casting's off the fucking charts in this film too. I mean, oh my God, everyone's perfect in this. To an American watching this, who literally nobody I knew prior to this, Robert Carlyle, as you said,
love him. Love him. Yeah,
out of this world.
Yeah, it's so good.
This was my introduction to Ewan McGregor, and I'm still a fan. He's incredible. Johnny Lee Miller went on to do Angelina Jolie. There was a lot of success in this movie. When I was in 9th grade, we had a drawing class in high school. I ended up drawing Diane.
Oh, yeah?
It's actually pretty decent, too, dude. We got to throw that up in this video.
All right. So, Trainspotting 4K, January 30th. We're going to do coverage on the Criterion sale in November. We'll probably have our Criterion collection video go up around that same time, too. I have a lot of half-off Criterions I'm going to be buying in November for sure, but this will be like, give it to me day one. Any other titles you're going to be pre-ordering this for January from Criterion, Russ? What about the Chantal Akerman masterpieces, 1968 to 1979?
I'm kind of beyond that, you know.
What
it's
about
a little juvenile?